If you love something, if you have a strong passion for something, you would go to the extreme to try to understand or try to get it.
If you haven't gotten what you want, then you're not worthy of it, period. And that's okay. Now you can admit that you suck and improve. Better to know you're bad for a season than pretend you're good for a lifetime. You're not making as much money as you want because you're not as good as you think you are. You're not struggling from imposter syndrome. You're a student and pretending to be a teacher. No students say they feel like frauds for trying to learn. You're a fraud when you get up to teach the class, and you've never done it.
Are you not happy, or you're only half happy, or?
Still to be happy about.
You're up too old.
Job's not finished. Job finished? I don't think so.
Okay.
When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is, and your life is just to live your life inside the world, try not to bash into the walls too much, try to have a nice family life, have fun, save a little money. But life, that's a very limited life. Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact, and that is everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. And the minute that you understand that you can poke life and actually something will, if you push in, something will pop out the other side, that you can change it, you can mold it.
When you step into the challenge zone, the number of excuses for getting out, back into your comfort zone from there, multiplies. I'm too tired. It's too difficult. I'm having a bad day. Nobody likes me. And so I would teach them to face up to those excuses and refuse to be a victim, and teach them a fighter mentality about all those things may be there, but I'm still going to do it. I'm going to deal with it.
Pressure changes everything, pressure. Some people, you squeeze them, they focus. Others fold. Can you summon your talent at will? Can you deliver on a deadline? Can you sleep at night?
I invented it. I actually sat back when I was fat, nasty, out of shape, miserable, and created a human being in my mind that didn't even exist, and said, that's what I want to be. I want to be that guy. I want to be a guy that's capable of doing exactly what I'm doing today. And you have to, if you weren't born that guy, that mentally strong guy, he can be made. Woman, man, whatever the hell you are, it can be made. But in making that person, you have to be able to turn down book deals. You have to be who the you are every day of your life, and never care about anybody who gets in your way that said you're not doing something the proper way.
I thought it was going to be over, and Dr. Carter said to me, and Dr. Carter had a tear in his eye. I could tell he felt for me. And he said, son, I'm sorry to say you're not going to box again. And I looked at him. I said, no, Dr. Carter, you're wrong. I am going to box again. He said, you don't understand what kind of man I am.
People need a thing to get them going, right? They need a thing.
Right.
They need a goal. They need like sometimes the first step is the hardest. Mm-hmm. Like it's hard to take that 1 million step too, but sometimes the first step is the most. There's something about the. What do I do? They start going over their phone. They start calling people. They don't get out of the house. Like and there's something about procrastination. It's like, it's painful.
Oh, yeah.
You know you should be doing things, but you just keep doing it. You keep itching that scab.
We're on this planet for a very, very small period of time. And achievement is something that really gives you great pleasure. And when you achieve something, that's great, but now on to the next. Very important, you keep going.
The most important step we'll ever take in life is our next one.
But a lot of us get our feet stuck in concrete. We get our feet stuck in concrete because we're afraid to make enemies. We're afraid to speak what's on our mind. We're afraid of being in that group of people. And when you walk away, we're afraid of what they might say behind your back. All that fear clouds your brain, clouds your thinking. One thing in life, you're gonna always have haters. Embrace them. If you can walk on water, trust me, your haters will say you can walk on water because you can't swim. Learn one thing, shut the noise out. Embrace the fact that people don't like you. It means you're doing something right. Stay hard.
Old man hadn't fought in years, hurt. And Muhammad Ali pulled into him and said, "Is that all you got?" And George Foreman said when he heard the words, "Is that all you got?" it penetrated his spirit. And said, "I done gave my man everything I got. I can't seem to knock him down." And Muhammad Ali said when he said that to him, he looked into the pupils of his eyes, and he said at that point he knew George Foreman had lost.
See, look, the clock is ticking. The clock never stops ticking. The time don't wait for nobody. So while you sit here wasting your day away thinking that you deserve tomorrow when you playing with today, that's crazy. Until you realize that you're wasting your life away and that you're not going to be able to get this time back, you're just setting yourself up for failure. And I hope that you can live with that. I can't, though. Anything you want, you can get, period. And you got to wake up and tell yourself that every single day. Look yourself in the mirror and tell yourself what you really want. You're the one. And when you realize that, well, I'm telling you, you're going to be very powerful. Because you can control what you can control. The world is in your hands. And we're just waiting to see what you're going to do with it.
Be a dangerous man. Now, being dangerous is not being a threat. They're two different things. All right? And it's not about going out and lifting weights and getting a bunch of tattoos and wearing leather jackets and walking around with your chest and shoulders up, hulking around saying, "I'm dangerous." That's very rarely is that a dangerous man. Often the most dangerous man in the room is the quietest man in the room.
People don't see that. People will never understand that. To be success, all they think about, well, he batted 202, and he struck out a certain number of times. Yeah, okay. But the effort was there, and the learning curve and the passion was there that has transcended not just to me, but to other people who are afraid to do things because they're worried about the perception that may come from other places. To me, that's more gratifying than anything, So that's the things that my father and my mother instilled in me. Take a negative and turn it into a positive. Don't be afraid to fail.
I had to stop giving about people. That was the biggest thing. I had to stop caring what people thought about me. I realized that everybody's That's the one thing I realized. I walked around and I put these people on a pedestal. Everybody was better than me. So I can't tell you anything about me because you're gonna judge me and I'm gonna feel even worse than what I am. What I realized, once I calmed my mind down and sat back and looked at how jacked up this world is, once you realize that you are not alone, everybody that's talking to you about how jacked up you are, only thing they've done better than you is they've hidden their world better than you have.
Look, you have a project that's due at work that you don't feel like working on right now. Doesn't matter that you don't feel like working on it right now. You impose discipline on the situation and you do what you're supposed to do. You have an exercise, you need to work out this morning, you haven't worked out yet, you wake up in the morning, you need to go work out, you don't feel like working out, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that you don't feel like working out, it doesn't matter. It's not part of the calculation. Discipline overrides that. Discipline trumps your feelings. And that is what you need to apply as a person, as a normal human being, no matter what you're doing in your life. You need to let discipline be your guide, not how you feel.
Now look, at the end of the day, you gotta go get up and go get it, point blank, period. I don't know what you're waiting on, the perfect opportunity, the perfect time. Ain't no such thing as the perfect time. Get that out your head. Ain't no such thing as the perfect time. The time is right now and you're blowing it. You know how many people would kill to have your opportunity and you just letting it slip away? Why you acting like you deserve this? You don't deserve this. People want what you got. You playing with your food. You keep playing with your food, someone gonna come up and eat off your plate. That's really gonna hurt. You'll wake up one day though, for better or for worse.
Lay hold of it. You lay hold of it. And when that thing tells you to quit, you look at it in his eye and say, I ain't going nowhere. nowhere. I will break you before you break me. You will not defeat me. You will not destroy me. Some of you are so ignorant. You've been through so much hell. You gonna quit now? You should have quit 10 years ago when you got raped. You should have quit 10 years ago when he walked out on you. You should have been quit. You don't quit now. It's the 10th round. You got 2 more to go. And when you get to success, it's not about skill. When you get to a certain level of success, it's about stamina.
Take a day off. No more no. But keep on thinking too. There's always someone out there who's working harder than you. I'm haunted by knowing that there's someone out there that's willing to forgo personal desires and comforts. Forgo sleep. Forgo whatever it takes to be better, to be the best. In life, a lot of times, a lot of us have that person out there. There may not be a name or a face to him, but he exists. You make sure in life when you think about that person, you make sure they put a name and a face to it. You make sure a name and face is yours. You do the haunting. Get in somebody's head. Own space. In those times when you want to quit, because we're all human, you make sure you remember one thing. All those times and hours and days you sacrifice to be the best. Stay home.
It's 1 a.m. I'm going for my 3rd workout. Do I want to go to the gym? Absolutely not. I'd rather, lay in my house and sit in the movie theater and watch movies. But, to be the best, you got to work overtime. To be the best, you got to work overtime.
If your definition of success is win or lose, giving everything you've got and growing or learning along the way, then you're setting yourself up for success. I really think the biggest cheat code in life is just going after it and not being concerned of whether or not you fail at one specific task. Instead, understanding the big picture, what your long-term goal is, and knowing if you keep driving forward and never quit, in the end you will succeed.
Your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. Your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. Think about every poor decision you've made in your life.
Gosh.
There was more emotion that was involved in it than there was mind. Every single one of them. Think about it. Really was. Your feelings keep you in bed. Your mind tells you, get up.
There's been so many times where I've been in a prep and I felt way too far behind to win. And I had an injury last year when I tore my lat, tore my bicep. I was in the hospital, like all these different things going on, and I'm like, there's no way that I can do this. Like, it's impossible. And if I were to ever ask myself in the past, like, do you think you could win or get through this and do this? I'd be like, no way, it's impossible. But I was in it and I did it and I accomplished it. And I was like, I'm capable of so much more than my mind understands. And I think that's just the greatest part of the journey that I've achieved, is like that understanding of what I'm capable of and that belief in myself to what I can accomplish. And it only came through the journey. It didn't come through the winning. It came through the challenge that came along the journey and coming through it and fighting through it, and the beauty of all that. And on top of that, there's just been so many moments in the midst of things where, like, it's a workout or it's a diet or I'm starving or I'm just, doing check-ins or something, and I'm just like, this is incredible. Like, I'm peak condition in the world right now, fighting to be the best in the world, and I'm living in that moment right now. I'm doing this is what it takes. When people see something on stage, this is what they don't see, or what I'm feeling in my mind, what no one will understand, what it takes to get there. I get to experience this every day.
You only start really liking stuff when you get good at it, in my opinion. And you only get good at it by doing it a lot of times before you're good at it. And so this is why I'm a big believer in this, is that when you are starting out, I think you got to find the thing that's the pain. And like, pain motivates significantly faster and stronger than pleasure does. Like, people are like, no, passion's the right way. It's like, point a gun at a family member, all of a sudden, 10 out of 10 motivation, pain. And so, like, I think people should use their pain more. And if they don't have enough pain, then one, maybe that's fine, and you're a dreamer, and that's okay.
So the goal was to be the first one at breakfast. So I set my alarm, I make sure I'm up by sunrise, I get out of bed, I put on my gear and I head downstairs. But when I get there, Kobe's already there, with ice packs on his knees, drenched in sweat. Now, it took me a minute to figure it out, but this guy wasn't only awake before me, he had already worked out. He had just played in the finals days earlier. Meanwhile, I'd been off for months and I was still exhausted. What he had done that morning was incomprehensible to me. That dedication he had only days after falling short of an NBA championship. That taught me something I've never forgotten. Legends aren't defined by their successes. They're defined by how they bounce back from their failures. And that's what I hope to communicate to anyone watching this.
I live in a box to where I'm afraid to do things. I know that, as my father says, the what if comment is to be able to deal with the consequences of what decisions you make. And you think about that, and if you think about the consequences, pro or con, you make the right decisions that you feel is the right decision. Now, all the decisions I made, other people may view to be not the right decisions from their perspective. But for me to go play baseball, and everybody says, oh, it was a failed opportunity to play baseball. That's what they think. For me, it was the best thing that could have happened for me because it allowed me to go back to the game with a stronger passion.
Remember, it's not what you have, but what you do with what you have that separates winners from losers. It's not what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you that counts. In the final analysis, your response to the adversity of life is the real measure of who you are and what you're made of. The Greek philosopher Epictetus once said that circumstances do not make the man or woman. They merely reveal him to himself. And you find out who you really are when you face adversity.
I have never met anybody who became incredibly successful in any area of their life until they had suffered and sweated and sacrificed and kept their focus and fought through tears and trials and tests. And if you have a dream and you commit to it, it will come to pass.
So what if I can pull off a miracle? What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be? And just me talking about that, I have the hair going up on my arms because it makes me just like, what if I can be that guy that people who call nigger and this and that, and now I'm speaking at Tom Fair event.
The basketball stuff speaks for itself in terms of what that comment did for me, in terms of giving me stability and giving me confidence to say, okay, it's okay to fail because you're going to be loved no matter what. And that doesn't just mean basketball. It means anything in life. That means writing. That means being an entrepreneur. That means having the confidence to go for it.
There's no security in life, only opportunity. Life is very perverse in a way because the more we seek security, the less we have it. And the more we seek opportunity, the more we have security. Helen Keller said this beautifully. She said, life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. That the tendency, she said in the earlier parts of this statement, she said the tendency to seek security is the low road to failure. That courage is absolutely essential. And one of the things that I used to think that if you were really courageous, eventually you got to the point where you weren't afraid. I'm going to tell you something, that if you're not a little bit afraid, at least 3 or 4 nights a week, you're not trying hard enough. If you're not falling on your face over and over again, if you're not trembling when you go to sleep with your heart pounding, then what is happening is you're not trying hard enough. You're living too far within your potential. That all really successful people live on the outside edge of what they're capable of. And it's always a little bit scary on the outside edge because we all have feelings of uncertainty. We all have fears. We all have doubts that hold us back. But the brave person is simply the person who moves forward and keeps taking the chance.
You're blind to your own weaknesses, but you're also blind to your own strengths. And so then I think, well, if you got your act together, it'd be better for you, and instantly it would be better for your family, assuming they wanted you to get your act together, and not everyone does, and then it would be better for the community. It's like, how far could you take that? If you stopped wasting time, and if you stopped lying, and if you oriented yourself to the highest possible good that you could conceive of, and you committed to that, how much good could you do? Well, I would say, why don't you find out? So that's what I think you should do. You should find out. You don't have anything better to do. And there's nothing in it, as far as I've been able to tell, there's nothing in it but good.
Most people expect that the pencil wireframe that they do on their first shot is hard work because that's the hardest they've worked, not the amount of hard work that is required in order to get the level of outcome that they say they want or that they expect. And so there's a divorce in reality because they don't have the context from which to make a judgment, because they've never been great at anything. And until you get great, because as soon as you get great at one thing, you realize just the tremendous amount of hours and work that it takes to be great at one thing. And then there's this oh shit moment that I can express personally, which is you realize that there's so few things that you can be great at. And then the discipline comes down to saying, what are the 2 or 3 things that I can be really good at in my life? Because it will take me 5 to 7 years to be exceptional at this one thing.
So another year is come and gone, and a lot of us are in the same place we were last year. What the f you waiting on? We sleep 1/3 of our lives, and we think we can take days off. We think we have the right to sit back and give ourselves fucking options on which way we're gonna go in life. Am I gonna run today? Am I gonna work out today? Well, it's Christmas. It's New Year's. It's my birthday. Do you think time gives a fuck that it's Christmas, that it's New Year's, that it's your birthday? You give yourself too many fucking options. Let me tell you one thing. Time is running out. You keep on sitting around wondering what the fuck you want to do. You're just gonna run out of time. So make sure you do one thing. Stop following the fucking crowd. They may take time off, but you can't afford to. Stay hard.
Anybody can change at any stage of their life. We are writing our own story, our own life story, but there's no reason why we can't stop, have a mental time out and go, what do I really want? And start from that moment on rewriting your story by facing the challenge, achieving for yourself, and putting your fears and anxieties to one side.
It's the hidden work. People see 1 minute video of me running and shit, and like these fighters, they see during the fight or after the fight. They don't see what they deal with every fucking day. I'm not good enough. I'm not good enough. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here. Because every day, even though they're the best in the world, that little at 7 or 8 years old is still in there saying, "Oh man, you don't have something. We're not good enough. We shouldn't be here." So you're always fighting that fucker. Even though you beat it, you never truly beat it. So when they get on stage and they're talking to Joe Rogan, it's not even real. It's not even real. All those mornings that you didn't want to get up, and I look at it as like a fucking, like a rock, and you find this fucking rock, and that rock is you. And every day you fucking fight not wanting to get up, and you do anyway. You chip another piece off that fucking rock, and every day you fucking eat the right foods, and every day you go to train, and you train harder and harder and harder and harder. And you get up earlier, and all these things you do to start forming yourself. You're chipping another fucking piece of that rock off. Before you know it, you have this beautiful fucking piece of artwork that you built.
You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is a part of the process. People who never fail, never try. You have to fail. You got to get it wrong to get it right. You learn nothing from winning. You only learn from your failures. Warren Buffett said he won't even invest in a person's business unless they failed in 2 other businesses. Because now you know what not to do. And so I think that's probably the biggest thing, man. I've overcome so many failures. I've failed more times than I've succeeded.
Being an asshole is a weak person's idea of strength. Complaining is their connection. Never let yourself be held back by other people's fears. People criticize what they were afraid to do themselves because bold action reminds them of their own inaction. If you're afraid to be criticized, why do you care about the opinions of those who are too timid to do it themselves? If you are the criticizer, does tearing down someone who has the courage you lack make you better?
Do what's uncomfortable and scary and hard but pays off in the long run. Be willing to fail. Let yourself fail. Fail in the way, in the place where you would want to fail. Fail, pick yourself up, and fail again. Because without this struggle, what is your success anyway? Look, as best we know it, we have one life. In it, you have to trust your own voice, your own ideas, your honesty, your vulnerability. And through this, you will find your way. You do not have to be fearless. Just don't let fear stop you. Live like this as best you can, and I guarantee you will look back on a life well lived. You are capable of greatness in your profession, and more importantly, in your quality of self. Stay hungry. Stay young at heart. Take those risks. You are going to change the world around you in big ways and in small. And I greatly look forward to being a part of the future that you will shape.
And a lot of us have this voice in our head. We all know that voice in our head that tells us the truth every single day that we try to run away from, that says we're scared of this, let's go this way. It started gnawing at me so horribly bad that it wouldn't allow me to live anymore without facing me. I had to go back in the dungeon. So when I tell my story, I tell it on a very surface level. I had to go down in the dungeon, the sewer where my mind used to be at, and talk to that guy. Because I wanted to live my life in a way that when I died, I was proud of myself. I know what pride felt like. And if it took pushing myself to death, I was willing to do that. But I wanted to look in that mirror, not impress anybody, not money, not fame, not nothing. I wanted to impress the guy in the daggone mirror. And I worked endlessly and tirelessly to do that. And it happened.
You will never succeed more than you fail. That's not how it works. You know why? Because failure is a wonderful teacher. It's the only way to learn. You have to fail. Failure is a part of the process to becoming successful. I tell people this all the time.
When I hear people say terms like good enough, it bothers me to an nth degree, because they are saying something that is justified at the moment, but not quantitative until a future endeavor of life. So therefore, they are passing judgment on now for a future event that they knew nothing about. They're bullshitters. Good enough, if you think about it, good is a positive, enough's a negative. That's an oxymoron right there. It's hypocritical in its own sense. There is nothing that's ever good enough. The only thing that's enough is at the end of the day, the nth hour, the final hour, whatever you're fucking going for, that your hand is raised victoriously. That's when you know it's enough.
It's rarely the information or the intensity that makes things hard. It's the sticking with it that makes it hard. And so the desire that we have to quit is simply breaking the consistency. And so that's why consistency has always been the hardest thing for most people to achieve. But the intensity of what you have to do to be successful is much lower than most people expect. And so oftentimes they suffer significantly more in a short period of time than is required to be successful over a much longer period of time with a much lower intensity.
It's in this state that we get to find out the true value of our dreams. For we all know what's right and wrong in a sedative state. We all know when we're relaxed exactly the person we want to become. The question is, do we believe we can become it? Without that belief, every journey will run into a debate. That debate is when pain starts to fill the body. You weigh the temporary pain versus a lifetime of pride. What are you gonna do? How bad do you want it? There's two options. To continue forward, pushing upward. And if you do, that dream is given birth, and forever you will live in the reality of it. If you stop, quit, throw in the towel, I promise you there's no distance you can travel far enough to ever find that dream again. For it is dead. And in its death, it's replaced by regret. But right now, it's your choice.
Get after it, everyday mentality. That said, when you push that hard, you go to the well. Well, my well was fucking empty. The cookie jar in there had stale molded cookies. They weren't working no more. Had to find something else. Had to get that conqueror's mindset back. Where I just don't give a shit about anything. Just fucking grind. A lot of people out there talk about they're missing something in their lives. And they don't know what the fuck it is. You don't know what it is because you live in a soft environment 24/7. You're going to get out of it. It's Stay home.
Like you think about game-winning shots or game-winning free throws, and people go to the free throw line and they're nervous about it. Well, what are you really nervous about? If you unpack that, okay, you're nervous that you're going to miss the shot. All right, so you miss the shot, then what happens? People are going to be embarrassed. You're going to be embarrassed because thousands of people, millions of people see you miss the shot. All right, and then what? People are going to talk bad about you. Okay, right? And so you're looking at it and you go, are those things even important? You know what I mean? If that is my fear, like what is, you worried about letting your teammates down? Okay, have you let them down before? Oh, I'm sure, in practice and things of that nature, right? They're still there.
Yeah.
You know? And so when you're able to unpack it, you kind of look at it for what it is, which is really nothing.
Yeah.